Okie dokie, so if you're a long-time viewer of my content and you may already know that my all-time favorite pairing within Madoka Magica series is Sayaka x Devil Homura. I even once made a video expressing this very fact, and I've decided to once again bring this topic back up after compiling a whole bunch of facts and reasons all in one video for why it would make perfect sense for Sayaka and Devil Homura to team up and wreak havoc within the next Madoka Magica movie. So, in this video, I will be presenting to you my top 8 reasons why Devil Homura and Sayaka should be together within the next Madoka Magica movie. That is all coming up next, so stay tuned.
Hey, this is Mommy Sexual reporting for duty.
Hey guys, I go by the name Mommy Sexual and I specialize in making Madoka Magica theories and discussions and analysis videos. If you're into that, don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel and press the bell icon to get notified whenever I upload a new video, because YouTube will not show you my videos otherwise, sadly. So it's very important that you press the bell to stay notified of all my future uploads. With that said, let's begin today's video. Hoi hoi hoi. Okay, so let's jump right into it with reason number 8 as to why Sayaka and Devil Homura should be a thing in the next movie. Because they both look good together. In truth, what first inspired me to take any form of interest in this pairing was checking out the fan art created by a well-known Madoka blogger known as Warrior KK, who was inspired to draw images of this pairing in a very compromising position due to various fan fiction stories that have surfaced on the internet involving these two. Oh, my mouth is watering! Sayaka, I'm so jealous of you, damn it! Why can't it be me? Why can't it be me? Anyways, it was after looking at some of these images that my interest in this pairing started to come to light, and the more I thought about these two being a thing, the more fun the idea seemed to me, personally. I mean, it's obvious that whoever came up with this idea of this pairing had the idea of BDSM in their heads, which makes perfect sense when you consider the way the series portrays both Sayaka and Homura having this type of relationship in essence throughout the series. Granted, not in the same suggestive kind of way as how some of these images would have you believe, but without a doubt, it's made very clear early on that Homura was the strongest, aka the most dominant between the two, and made it very clear numerous times that Sayaka was her bitch. I mean, just think back to how Homura would always be shown to be calm, cool, and collected, while Sayaka tended to be displayed as inexperienced, weak, reckless, and impulsive, rushing into situations without thinking, and Homura either knocking her out with no effort or acting as though she could beat Sayaka with her hands tied behind her back without breaking a sweat. And she even came really close to actually destroying Sayaka for good before being saved by Kyoko. The domination type of role would be nothing new should Sayaka end up becoming Homura's knight and work in service of her, since this submissive role was something that had already been happening within the series between Sayaka and Homura, and this domination between these two would continue on until movie 3, where Sayaka would be seen to have matured quite a bit, and it's at this point in the series that both Homura and Sayaka appeared to be very even in terms of combat ability. That is until the end of the movie, which is where Homura would once again take on her role of being not only dominant towards Sayaka in terms of power, but even getting up close and personal with her as well. And Sayaka does not exactly look grossed out by this close contact either. In fact, could she maybe be blushing a little bit? I mean, look at that red, seriously, holy shit. Wow, Sayaka, I didn't know you swung that way, and you're always making fun of Itomi, but look at you, you're blushing. But seriously, you gotta look at this. She's not grossed out. She's not backing away or anything. Like Homura's totally all up in her face, all up in her grill, talking and smirking, and Sayaka is just taking it. She's just standing there, she's just taking it. She's kind of like, yeah, Homura, I dare you to kiss me. I dare you to kiss me. Oh God, I would love it if you pointed those lips on my face. No, oh, Homura, ah! Anyway, moving on. Okay, I got a little too into that. Anyway, but yeah, the suggestive body language by the two of them here really does make you think, and no doubt could have also have played a role in inspiring this pairing based on how they look. Okay, so reason number 7 as to why this pairing coming together would work is because no one would see it coming. Obviously, if you're someone who's watching this video, then you would not be as surprised if this actually happened within the series. But the majority of Madoka fans out there would be completely blown away if something like this were to actually happen. I mean, think about it for a second. This would totally cause a massive uproar within the fandom, which in essence is what Madoka does best when it comes to subverting expectations of its fans. I mean, when you think back to the shock of episode 3, which solidified the popularity of the series and put it on the map in that one moment that no one saw coming when Charlotte came down delivering a fatal attack to Mami, leaving most of us losing our shit, especially because there was nothing leading up to this moment that would suggest that this had any chance of happening. And this is the very same level of shock that would once again be repeated in a totally different way at the end of the third Madoka Magica movie, Rebellion, with what Homura did by the end. And despite the fact that many fans understand the logic behind Homura's actions in this situation, after later thinking about it, it still does not change the fact that most fans, upon first watching this movie, were left completely stupefied by what happened, perhaps even more than Charlotte. And adding to the multitude of shocking moments within the series would be Sayaka betraying Madoka and the other girls for the sake of joining up with Devil Homura, despite all the conflict they both have had with each other throughout the series leading up to this point. And despite the established loyalty Sayaka has toward Madoka as her personal secretary, as well as the rivalry that Homura and Sayaka have that was created toward the end of the third movie, this event of Sayaka betraying everybody for the sake of joining up with Homura would without a doubt present the same level of shock comparable to many of the other moments within the series that no one would believe actually happened. I'm sure even most of you who are watching this video would be totally shocked out of your minds, despite the fact that I'm telling you this because you don't think it will happen. Yes, I see you there. I see you shaking your head. You don't believe this will happen. And this is precisely why it should happen and why it would work so well. It would literally blow everyone away. Even those who think it's possible would be shocked. It's literally the perfect thing that they can do. Please get Urabuchi if you're watching this video. Oh my god, if somebody actually shared this with him, please make this happen. I'll give you all my money, Gen Urabuchi. All my money, please make this happen. Anyways, aside from the shock value this would create within the fandom, this would also recreate that dark element of Sayaka's character once again, falling into darkness, much like how the very same thing took place within the original series with how Sayaka was originally portrayed as an optimistic warrior of justice who had high hopes for herself and a newfound power she would use in order to protect everyone, but later would do a complete 360 in terms of how she saw herself and everyone around her. And this descent into darkness from being a hero of justice in the form of Madoka's personal secretary would fit Gen Urabuchi's style, since he has mentioned in numerous interviews how he loves to take the hero of justice type of characters and force them to undergo their very own version of hell. It was done very famously not only with Sayaka in Madoka Magica, but in a few times within Gen Urabuchi's other writing work in the form of Fate Zero as well. So if nothing else, it would make sense for him to do this and would fit Sayaka's character in essence, going from hero to misguided lost soul, and it would be so glorious should this actually happen. Okie dokie, so reason number 6 for why Devil Homura and Sayaka should be a thing in the next movie is because Sayaka's descent into darkness would be good for the series because this would give Kyoko something to do. I once made a video talking about what Kyoko's role could be in the next movie, and one thing I mentioned is how the version of Kyoko that existed in movie 3 was a shell of her former self compared to her overall presence in the original series. It was as though once her story arc of wanting to help Sayaka was completed, the series had absolutely nothing left for Kyoko to do, and while the other girls all had decent roles and things to do in movie 3, Kyoko, who was once displayed as powerful and ferocious freak of nature, was reduced to playing Homura's second banana in a mystery case that took way too long to end, combined with some half-assed Yuri moments with Sayaka toward the middle half of the movie. And that's it! That's literally it! Are you freaking kidding me? Honestly, Kyoko has no real future within the series as of now in terms of story direction and character motivation, so Sayaka's descent into darkness would help give Kyoko some type of role or reason to exist within the series again. Like, can you imagine if she would be able to bring herself to fight Sayaka seriously under these circumstances after creating such a bond with her? Reason number 5 as to why Devil Homura and Sayaka should be a thing is because it would make sense within the context of the story. Someone once commented on one of my videos mentioning that another reason why it would make sense for Devil Homura and Sayaka to be a thing is because in Rebellion, Sayaka mentioned to Homura that even though they were trapped in a fake world, it wouldn't be so bad to stay in it.
Is this really so bad? I mean, really. We don't have to kill anyone. We just keep working together and having fun. Is the person who wished for a life like that so evil that she deserves to die?
Now, look at what Homura's actually done. She literally made a fake world herself that caters to the desires of the other girls, even if it's against their will. What if Homura got her to remember her past memories, but not so far as to uncover the sacrifice Madoka made? Because I believe that the only problem that Sayaka has with the fake world is that Madoka was stripped away of her godhood and her sacrifice was made in vain. Otherwise, the whole situation is not unlike the labyrinth they were in earlier, and Sayaka had no problems with it and encouraged Homura to just accept it like she had. So if Homura got Sayaka to remember her painful past, and that Homura gave her a second chance of being happy in life, I wouldn't call it a stretch to say that Sayaka would side with her. She would be hesitant to do so at first because she's always been suspicious of Homura, but eventually she would side with her and forsake Madoka for trying to undo the fake world Homura created. The movie itself foreshadows that Homura is really the witch who created the labyrinth. Putting the scene in this different context almost seems like it's foreshadowing Sayaka's eventual partnership with Homura, since again, she's cool with staying in the fake world because everyone's happy. However, Sayaka's reasons with Homura that the labyrinth isn't dangerous because it's not luring people in, nor is it trying to kill them. That is the other key difference between the fake worlds. Homura's world in Rebellion is very dangerous. If the theories circulating around Homura's world are true, in that it can't be sustained for very long because of lack of magical entropy with the law of cycles gone, Sayaka might try to encourage her to find some sort of alternative to keep the world alive for as long as possible. As far as we know, that alternative doesn't exist, and she'd have to decide between living in a happy but dying world or giving up her second chance at life for others to live on and be happy. Reason number 4 for why Devil Homura and Sayaka should happen is because this would give Homura some form of support on her path to protecting Madoka, at least protecting her in her mind, and might help to spark a change within her, having someone on her side who she would put a certain amount of faith and trust in, which she never did before, and perhaps this would create some type of opportunity for her to get close to and care for someone other than Madoka. I mean, obviously this is pretty far-fetched since it's been made painfully clear that for the most part, the only person Homura cares for is Madoka and only shows any form of kindness to the other girls in the spirit of Madoka, so the likelihood that she would view Sayaka as anything more than a pawn is pretty unlikely, but I still believe there is a chance, or at least an opportunity, could be created between the two that would allow this to come to pass. Reason number 3 for why these two could end up teaming up is cause This would put Sayaka in a position to defeat Homura, because as Sayaka is now, it's obvious she is not strong enough to take on Homura, and by being put in this position as being her potential servant or knight, this would create the opportunity for her to possibly get close to Homura, which would create the circumstances needed for her to actually defeat Homura by stabbing her in the back or attacking and defeating her when she is most vulnerable, in the most cruel and twisted way possible, especially since movie 3 created circumstances for the two to be rivals in the next movie, and there is no other way that Sayaka could possibly been in a position to defeat Homura otherwise, given everything that has happened. So this type of situation would be the only way I could see it ever happening. Reason number 2 why Devil Homura and Sayaka should be a thing is cause it would allow Sayaka to develop more as a character. Should Sayaka be placed as a knight for Devil Homura, it could very well position her as a voice of reason to Homura in an attempt to try to stop her if she's able to realize the harm in what they're doing. This would be amazing character development for Sayaka, who always judged Homura harshly within the series, making terrible judgment calls without understanding the very nature of Homura's intentions or her personality. But maybe by being placed in Homura's position as her helper and going down a similar path to her, for perhaps even the same reasons, this would allow her to be the only girl in the whole series who can truly understand and relate and sympathize with Homura, and maybe be the only one that can help her out of her darkness when no one else can. So this would put Sayaka in a position to understand Homura should she be made into Homura's knight and they both go down this dark path together. I mean, wouldn't it be ironic that the one girl that hated her the most could end up being the very person who would walk away understanding her more than everyone else within the series? That would be wild. And finally, reason number 1 for why Devil Homura and Sayaka should be a thing within the next Madoka Magica movie is because this would create more drama between Sayaka and Hitomi's relationship and would give Sayaka a chance to get what she wanted. I mean, you can make the argument that Sayaka was forced to eat a bittersweet pill when she had to give up Kyosuke to Hitomi, and you could make the argument she never wanted to do this but did not have a choice due to the circumstances that were outside of her control. But perhaps in her changing her mindset by changing her position within the series, maybe this version of Sayaka could finally have the happy ending with the boy she always secretly wanted. I mean, if you notice toward the end of the 3rd movie, it was made very clear that Sayaka's feelings for Kyosuke was re-sparked again thanks to Homura, and one would question why the series would go in this direction if they had no plans to do something with this should Madoka continue. This could also create a situation for Hitomi to get involved in the series and become a magical girl, or just have more of a role, since it's very clear after the trailer that Madoka fans want Hitomi to be involved in the series and become a magical girl. And putting Sayaka in this position would give Hitomi a reason to be involved in the series should Sayaka decide to join Homura. And there you have it. Those are my top 8 reasons as to why Devil Homura and Sayaka should be a thing in the next movie. Be sure to let me know what you think. Do you have a favorite reason as to why you feel Sayaka and Devil Homura should be a thing from this list? Or do you perhaps have your own feelings or opinion about these two being a thing, and maybe you have a perspective about this pairing that maybe I haven't seen that I didn't mention in this video. If you have your own, whatever thoughts you have, be sure to let me know all that stuff in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. This is Mommy Sexual signing out. Peace.